I had a debate with one of my friends. It was the same thing. You know, one of my friends, he doesn't believe in spanking his kids. And I was just like, I don't believe in beating my kids. But in order to get information over to a child who doesn't understand language, sometimes you have to inflict a little pain. And I gave him an example. Cairo just runs. He'll run. And if he sees something on the other side of the street, he's gonna run. Kairos too. He doesn't know. So I can explain to him that he might get hit by a car, but he won't get it until he gets hit by a car. I'm not gonna let my son get hit by a car.
Right.
So we go to the end of the block and he goes to run in the street and I tap his leg. And then he's just like, and I'm like, do not step into the street.
And it's a tap.
It's a tap.
Yes.
Right.
But that tap reminded him of the pain. So now he gets to the end of the block and he'll be running full speed. He'll get to, and he'll be like, and he'll look up at me.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Absolutely.
whatever happened, I'm just happy you didn't run into that van coming. And I try to explain that. And I also explain to him, because of course the friend that I was debating with is not a person of color. And I'm explaining to him that our consequences for actions are a lot different than your consequences.
Yes.
If I don't listen to authority and I'm a child of color in elementary school, they're going to put you in detention, they're going to put you on medication, say you have ADHD. If you don't listen to authority, you get older, you can be murdered.
Right.
So I'm trying to teach my children, especially my boys, how to respect authority so it doesn't have to get escalated to that point.
Right.
And I don't expect you with your privilege to understand where I'm coming from. I think it's important for us to express why we discipline. And I want to hear you guys.
So I had the luxury of having two dads, right? My stepfather and my real father. And my mom, of course. So my stepfather raised me, and he was very authoritative. He didn't spare the rod at all. You know, he told me, hey man, we're not gonna do X, Y, and Z in this house. When you do this, is what's gonna happen. And so I turned 9 years old. I'll never forget. I told my mom and dad, I said, I ain't getting no more whoopings.
I was 9 too when I said that.
I ain't getting no more whoopings. You better straighten up. That kind of thing. And I wasn't a terrible kid.
Right.
But if I got in trouble at school, talking out of turn, that kind of thing, I got a whooping.
Right.
They didn't play that stuff.
Right.
And so for me, I'm like, okay, it worked for me. You know, I didn't want to disappoint my mom, just like you. I didn't want to disappoint my dad, you know. And so when we had Harley, at first we did say we wasn't gonna do it. But then when she turned about 1, I was like, man,
she trying you. She's trying you.
Kids are smart.
Yes.
Kids are so
I
smart.
was like, yeah, she's definitely a habitual line stepper.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. My reasoning would be because I felt like she needed it. I mean, different personalities, different children. You may not have to spank
Absolutely.
all your children,
I
but there
agree.
are certain personality types that I feel like in children, they need that little love. And Harley is definitely, her personality, she just needs a little love on that.
You can probably see that with your 3.
Oh yeah, the oldest.
Yeah.
I can remember how many times I've actually had to tap.
Me too.
You know, one was in front of his preschool. It's like, really, you did that?
Yep.
The tap on the knee. Them twins, I done lost count.
Jackson Cairo, oh my God.
Like, I'm sure by the time we get home, like, don't do that, Kyle.
Oh my
Stop.
God.
He'll look at you and go, what? Don't do that.
Yes.
Then it's like, all right, here comes the taps. And
Yeah.
it's like,
That
maybe I shouldn't have
personality.
done that.
But I tell you what, every time I've whooped Harley, spanked her, oh my God, I feel terrible.
Yeah.
I'll be
I
like,
get
I go in there and I talk to
Especially
Brittany,
if you
I'll be
got a
like,
daughter
Yeah, that's my
too.
fear of having a daughter. You know, breaking
and I'll
down,
be like,
fetal position and crying.
Do you ever feel like you want to kind of hand that off to Brittany instead?
you know what? We've had times where we would switch. And it just come in phases for whatever reason.
Right.
At first, I was the one that was spanking her. And then I felt so terrible about it.
Right.
And I said, I'm not doing it anymore.
And you didn't want Daddy to be associated with that all the
Yeah.
time, like good cop, bad
Yeah,
cop.
that kind of thing.
How do you
Right.
police that?
We
do go back and forth with good cop, bad cop, but I feel like now that she's 4, I do feel like I should do more of the spankings. Hopefully she'll phase out of the whole spanking thing. Hopefully after 4 we won't have to do that. But going forward, that will be my responsibility.
Yeah.
You know,
and it being a girl, I can imagine it's
Yeah.
slightly different.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't.
Daddy should reflect
Yeah.
loving and
I don't do
hugging
much
and
now.
all that.
But
I
he
don't do much now.
doesn't. I don't even know the last time you spanked her.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because if you think about the oppressive nature of society over women, it kind of makes sense that at some point as a dad you kind of step back to let your daughter know. And that leads me to another question: like, what are some of the challenges of raising a young black woman or a young black man in today's society with social media, with everything that we're seeing? Like, what are the things that you are concerned about?
We've had conversations because he's 9 years old at this point.
Right.
So we've actually had that conversation as far as like even in society, it's like law enforcement. Like you're a little black boy. You may take a while to understand this, but you are viewed differently from some of your friends.
Right.
Even like social media, like he has a little social media account
He
and
has a little
everything,
YouTube
or
channel.
But it's one of those things where we walk him through it and explain things.
Right.
Like, this is what you do, if this is what you like to do. She's more so on top of that. I just give him like a real world perspective. Like
My big thing with my 3 black boys is them loving black women. That has been my big thing because we're in California. We don't live in the blackest of neighborhoods. It's very multicultural, and I love that he's getting an appreciation for different cultures other than his own. But I'm also like, but don't lose sight that we dope too. And that has been sometimes been a struggle because it's like if you only know if you've really been in Los Angeles, been in the schools, you'd be like, where did all the black girls go? Yeah. And I don't want him growing up and being in high school and being like, black girls are just difficult. Like, I don't want him to ever be that
programmed like that.
Yes. So I'm like, no, you should be able to deal with Shaquita and Becky and, Maylin and Maria, like everybody. So
ask about her daughter if she wanted to date outside the race. She's a little more lenient on
I
that.
just need him to know that we don't.
But how is that? How is that? Why do your daughter get different standards than your son?
You know what? It's for me. It's just for me. It's what I have experienced growing up. I have seen black girls be loyal to black men for just through a whole bunch of stuff. And then I'll watch my black guy friends be like deuces, like really quickly. And I'm just like, wait, as soon as they get to experience people of other cultures, they're like, black women, bye. And I've never understood that. And not to say that there's anything wrong with them. That's not what I'm saying. I don't care if you love everybody, but you will love us as well.
I mean, I hear you. I do think that there is a different standard socially because if an athlete, a male athlete dates a white girl, black women will be like, look at him. But then Serena Williams gets married to a white boy and they're like, yes, queen. And it's kind of like, well, like, if you're gonna have that energy, you should have that energy on both sides. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that one is right or one is wrong, but how could the same people have one energy for one and not the other? Like, it's difficult for me to understand as a man, and I mean, I do get it. You know what I'm saying? I do understand that black women have been underappreciated in culture throughout, so it's not that hard to understand why.
Right.
But,
so you get it?
No, I do get it. No, I do get it. But it's like, if I had, I have 3 boys. And I do want my boys to marry and date black women, but I want my black daughter to do the same thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do we parent that? Like, especially in today's society is instant access to people. So it's not like when we were growing up, you dated people in your neighborhood.
Right. Yeah.
Now, like, how do we parent that?
Well, I feel like I'm a little different. I feel like if Harley wants to date outside her race, I'm okay with that. If my son wants to date outside his race, I'm okay with that. For now, I don't have a son. And the reason why I say that is because I feel like him knowing that black women are dope is my responsibility. Like, I have to show him that black women are dope. And it's not for me to allow another woman to show him that black women are dope. So I think a lot of my guy friends that date outside of their race that really have found that, I don't want to date a black woman, she's too much, she's too loud, that's because that resembles his mother. That's what he automatically sees in his mom, that she's loud, that she's
I see what you're
this,
saying.
that she's
So you
that.
have to be a
you're the first
representation.
example.
So you're the first example because
Okay, I
the
get
son
that.
loves his mother first, just like a daughter loves her
absolutely,
dad
absolutely.
first. So I really feel like if my son wants to date outside of his race, he totally can, because I'm gonna make him feel super secure that black women are dope, and that's gonna come from me first.
Do either of you have anything that you felt like were turning points in your childhood growing up that made you feel like, you know what, I want to do this when I'm a parent, or I won't do that as a parent? Did you have
And on
any
top
moments?
of that, I want you to include religion.
Yeah.
Because she grew up Seventh-day Adventist, I grew up Baptist. And our ideas on religion have changed.
Right.
So I'm interested to see how you guys are going to include religion in parenting your children,
Right.
because it has definitely been difficult for us. You know,
Right.
have you guys experienced any
Or
of
were
that?
there any other turning points for you in your life?
Well, I know being the youngest girl, I watched my sisters be the ones that were extremely involved with their kids, especially when they were babies. Like they were the parent. And that was something because we are out here with no family. My mother just moved out here, but when we first started, we had no family. And I didn't want him to be that dad that stepped in at 1 or stepped in when the child turned 2. Like while this baby is an infant, can't hold up the head, you got to be as hands-on as I am. My mother is still kind of shocked by that. She's always like, no, don't have the kids bother him. I'm like, nah, that's their daddy too.
Yeah,
Like,
they were,
My mother
they
was
were
the
jumping
same
on me
way.
and crawling on me
leave the
one day,
kids
and she
alone.
was just like trying to stop them. I'm like, no, they're cool. She was like,
Right.
I'm just not used to that. Like,
Yeah.
we weren't allowed to talk to my father. We weren't allowed to do this. I'm like, no,
I mean,
this-
my grandfather was the same way.
Yeah.
My grandfather went to work, came home, and it was like, Pops is in the kitchen, y'all go outside.
Yeah.
Or he's in the living room,
Yeah.
go outside, yeah.
So like when after I had the kids, he got to meet up with one of his friends, and they went out, and I'm there with all 3 kids by myself. I was like, it's imperative for me to know that I can do the same thing. That even just having these kids, that if I want to go out and have brunch with somebody, you got these 3 kids. I don't care that the twins are only like 4 weeks old. Can you handle them on your own? Because you have the luxury of knowing that I can. I
Right.
now need that luxury too.
I can promise that they'll still be alive.
That's what I do.
And that's all I ask.
I was gonna say, as far as like the religion thing, I wanted to touch on really quickly was the one thing that was different that Tony and I decided to do different with Harley was holidays. Tony and I, we were raised Christian, and during the holidays we celebrated Christmas and Halloween, Easter, and everything. And then so Tony and I have decided that we want to do things a little different with Harley in terms of Halloween and just holidays in particular, you know, and how we were raised traditionally to do it.
Okay.
So our family at first was not on board with it, but they thought that we were Jehovah's Witness. They was like, "Are you guys Muslim?"
Oh, because y'all don't celebrate holidays.
Well, we just decided not to do like Christmas trees and like the gifts and things like that. We are started to do more charity work around the holidays. We're not going to do like the costumes around Halloween, and we're just going to celebrate more like fall. And there's a whole like thing behind the reason why we just decided that. And I really am at a place right now where Harley is 4 and she's in love with Halloween. And I don't really know how I'm gonna approach it this year
Right.
because
She's understanding
she's
more now.
understanding and she is excited about it. We are kind of just like, ooh, we don't know about Halloween. We're kind of out on Halloween.
Right,
I
we're
never
gonna have to revisit
celebrated.
that with y'all.
Yes.
See how we.
Yes, come back and let us know.
Yeah,
Come back and let us
did.
know.
Well, we're gonna have to wrap in a couple seconds, but just to touch really quickly, did you have any points you wanted to talk about
With
religion
religion.
or anything?
Well, I'm a PK. My mom was a minister. Marcus was raised United Methodist.
Yeah.
And we were more in like a Pentecostal, my household Baptist / Pentecostal. So
Yeah. Since then, just over my like our views, I know my views on religions have changed a little bit.
Mine have
Just
A whole
from
lot.
researching and everything.
Yeah.
As far as raising the kids, I just want them to have a more broad outlook than
On
what I had
spirituality.
coming up. You know, of just you go to church on Sunday and this is what you do because this is what this says. It's
Right.
like it's more to it. You know?
Absolutely, yeah.
where I'm like, he gonna be in church. They all gonna be in church,
Yeah.
and they always up in church. Cause that's
I was in church 5 days a week. Right?
that was me.
We
We
glad
didn't have
we-
to bring y'all back for a 3rd time, and y'all back for a 2nd time.
Yeah,
so we
with
can talk
kids,
more
you can talk so
religion.
much about kids. Like, there's so much.
Yeah,
really
there's so
is.
many like subdivisions and
Yes.
levels
Yeah.
amongst the
Yeah,
children.
sure.
But thank y'all so much for talking. I think we definitely barely scratched the surface of parenting. I think the consistent theme here that we've seen is that a lot of what we've dealt with and we were taught as children tend to manifest itself, but we have to kind of change with the times.
Gotta progress.
as
Yeah.
we-
You gotta
as we
grow.
go. You know
Gotta grow as
better, you do
people.
better,
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
the rest of it's just an experiment. We
Right.
just out here
We
winging
just
it.
guessing.
Right.
Right.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode of Couch Conversations. We'll see you next time.